Thank you for tuning in to Uncommon Women. I'm Shanera.
I'm Kate.
And I'm Jenny Lee.
So today we're actually going to be speaking on financial freedom.
Woohoo! Yes. This is one of my favorite topics. Let freedom ring. Let's start with defining what freedom is. Merriam-Webster defines freedom as liberation, quality or state of being free, unrestricted, improper familiarity, boldness of conception or execution.
The definition for financial freedom is more than having money. It's the freedom to be who you really are and do what you really want in life.
That's good. That's good. So I think, it typically depends on different people in regards to different things. Like for teenagers, financial freedom may be having their own place and cutting your ties with your mom and dad. The elderly, retirement people, they may look at financial freedom as never having to work again. So as far as for millennials, they may consider it basically never having to worry about putting food on the table or having a roof over your head. So basically, financial freedom is, having more than just money. It is freedom to be who you really are and what you want to do in life. And many of us, especially women, lose sight of this by putting others first. We tend to have different roles in life, such as being parents, spouses, employees, friends, and much more.
That's right, Shanera. Financial independence looks like options. It's freedom to choose a career you love without worrying about money. It's freedom to take an international trip every year without it straining on your budget. It's freedom to pay cash for a new ski boat. It's freedom to respond to the needs of others with outrageous generosity. It's freedom to retire a whole decade early. Chris Hogan says you get to make life decisions without being overly stressed about the financial impact because you are prepared. You control your finance instead of being controlled by them. Being financial free is not a get-rich-quick strategy. It doesn't mean that you're free of responsibility of handling your money well. It's the fruit of hard work, sacrifice, and time. It's basically putting in effort.
So ladies, what does financial freedom mean to you?
Well, financial freedom means to me is just being free of all debts and just making sure that I have money invested away, or just putting assets, having stock, just making sure that, not having the money, not living for the money, but working for the money so that in the future, I can make other ways and have more opportunities to keep making money, so that way I don't have to ever worry about anything else.
That's good, Jenny. To me, financial freedom is not feeling that yoke, not feeling that burden, not feeling that stress, not staying up late, worrying about this bill and that bill and having anxiety. The Bible says that you are slave, the debtor is slave to the lender, and it is like a form of slavery when you owe somebody something, owe no man nothing, and it gives you this sense of freedom. So financial freedom to me is just being able to not allow my money to control me, but I'm controlling it.
That's good. That's good. And I agree. I definitely don't want to rely on a job to pay my bills. I don't want to work to accumulate it. I want to actually work to live. So financial freedom for me will be able to live life and enjoy life rather than having to work to pay off debt or living paycheck to paycheck.
Okay, ladies, so we are for financial freedom. I'm going to start by what independence. Your lifestyle depends on others for financial support. You're in this stage if you rely on financial support from your parents, it can be your boyfriend, the father of your kids, the system. If you spent more than you earn, or if your debt's payments exceed your income, once you begin to earn a profit, you begin the process.
So I love what you said, Jenny. Like the example of children being dependent upon their parents. The state of dependency, I think when you're grown up and you're still acting in a child mindset, feeding off somebody, relying on somebody, mugging on somebody, leeching on somebody. Like it's time to grow out of this phase. That's the childish phase. And when you find yourself lurching off of somebody else, I think it's time to change.
I agree. So the next phase would actually be a sovereignty, which you actually meet your commitment without outside help. So for example, you're earning a profit, your earning or profit of your income exceeds your expenses. So you're able to pay off some of the debt that you have as well as paying more than the minimum balance.
Okay, stability. You achieve stability when you have repaid your consumer debt, established some emergency savings, and continue to earn a personal profit. You may still possess some good debt, like college loans, a mortgage, but helps eliminate other obligations and build a buffer of savings to protect you from unfortunate events.
Yeah, you actually build emergencies, profits to protect yourself for any unfortunate events in that stage. So I agree.
I think you want to build that cushion for anything that unexpected comes up, anything haphazard. You want to have, they say, 3 to 6 months of money saved up for your emergencies.
So the next stage will actually be agency. It's which you have freedom to work and live as you choose. You know, you have eliminated all your debt, including student loans and mortgage. You have enough in your bank account to quit your job without consequences, lacks of the future.
Meaning, screw your job.
Deuces. Bye, Felicia.
Security. You achieve financial security when your investment income can cover your basic needs based on how much you saved and invested. Okay, we're going to go into the difference between financial security, independence, and freedom. Financial security is the perception that money will stay indefinite to provide good living standards from a current income stream.
Yeah, so you basically want to be debt free, you know, where you don't actually owe anybody anything. When you're debt free, when you're in debt, you're actually a slave to the lender. They have control over you and your finances, and most of the time, you're paying all that money back in interest.
Okay, for financial independence means you have eliminated your debts and have set up a financial plan to protect your money and your income stream.
Agree. So it's basically debt free, but you also don't have to worry about money, you know, less about the money, but achieving things in life. So you're more enjoying life versus working to take care of your everyday needs.
Okay, for financial freedom means you're no longer working to make money. It means your money is working for you.
So, ladies, how do you make financial freedom work for you?
Okay, so as for myself, I actually have two bank accounts. I have a bank account that typically pays all my bills. I do have direct deposits, so when I get paid, I have $40 of my check going into my savings account so that I can, you know, accumulate some type of emergencies asset. And then as far as financial freedom, I pre-plan everything. I have my schedule organized to the T. So in the beginning of every month, I write down all the bills that I have to pay. And when the bills come in, I write down the dates on the calendar that I have in my kitchen so that I pay everything on time to eliminate the late payments. And then at the end of the month, I look at the money and the earnings that I have left over, and I take care of groceries or any anything that I need that's not a priority that I want to take care of. That's not taking away from my savings, but actually for my bank account that I have my bills in.
Well, as for me, Shanaira, like a little bit like what you do is like I write down all my finances for the month, like all my bills. I do have certain things that do come out of my bank account. I do have a checkings and a savings, which certain things get paid through my checkings. I do count out my paycheck. So what I usually do is I calculate everything, and then whatever I do put to the side, I put that out in my bank account for, for in case for an emergency, and other necessities that I do need, like for gas. And as far as that, some like if I want to do other things and like play money, and then not only that, I also have kids, so I do take out certain money for them so that I could buy their clothes, especially when it comes to food, shelter, and my bills.
So, on my financial journey, I remember I first started out getting organized by writing stuff down and doing an envelope system. When I was a waitress, I would categorize each envelope for my different expenses: food, entertainment, date night, because that was important to me back then, car repairs, mortgage, I rented back then, my light. Now that I've grown and become more stable and disciplined with managing my finances, I have 2 checking accounts, and I nicknamed one of them Fun and the other one Bills. Mm-hmm. I decided, I made a plan to say how much my standard payments are. My student loan payment, my mortgage payment, my electric payment, my gas payment, and my bills. And I took that monthly, divided by 2, and I just have my direct deposit split to go straight to my bill account. I put 20% in my savings account at another bank so I don't touch it. And then I put the remaining balance in my Fun account. I also set up an automatic transfer that happens the same day that my payroll check goes into my Fun account. A portion of that automatically gets moved. The bank moves it for me. I set it up that it happens bi-weekly on Friday, my payday, to go into a second savings account I have to save for vacation, because vacation is one of my goals, that I go on vacation and travel at least once a year. So if I'm not dedicated to moving that money myself, the bank has it set up that it automatically happens, so I don't have to think about it. Having my paycheck split, that the portion of my emergency savings is at another institution, makes it harder for me to tap into it when an erroneous bill comes up, or when I want to, get low in my Fun account. So that's how I go about financial freedom.
I have a few stats from freedomfinancialcoach.com. I'm just gonna name a few of them. The median retirement savings for families in their late 40s is only $6,200. 33% of us have zero saved for retirement. The average U.S. household owes more than $16,000 in credit card debt.
That's a good point. I actually seen on USA Today that it basically said Americans live beyond their means. The average American household carries approximately $137,000 in debt. And with Federal Reserves, it says that in the past 13 years, the cost of living has increased 30%.
Credit card debt is like the noose, and when someone hangs themselves, it has one of the highest. Credit card debt, unsecured credit card debt, is one of the highest interest rates on the financial market. According to creditcard.com, if you have bad credit, your average interest rate is 23.9 annual percentage yield. The national average of a credit card today is 16.96, and if you have the lowest interest out there on a credit card offered today, it's 13.85 annual percentage yield. So let me put that in perspective for you ladies. If you are carrying a balance month to month and you're not able to pay off the full balance, whatever balance you're carrying on your credit card statement from 1 month to the next month is subject to that finance charge. So if your finance charge is 23%, you're making a payment of $100. 23% is going to the financial institution, which means only $77 of that $100 is knocking down your principal balance. How fast can you get your principal balance down? Not sure. That's why credit card debt is like one big avalanche. It can be super detrimental how credit card debt can build up so fast. I always say, you know, that saying where for alcohol, you drink responsibly, use credit responsibly. There's an emotional response when a consumer is paying with a plastic card because it's delayed. The consequence of you having to pay that bill is delayed a month. Whereas suppose if you were making the same purchase with a Benjamin or a $20 bill, a $10 bill, you would feel that emotional pain of passing it across the table at the cashier register, or whether you're out to eat. There's a different emotional response that happens with credit cards and when you charge things on plastic than it does if you would use a different method of payment.
Yeah, most of Americans, I know my friend, she actually uses her credit card to cover her basic needs like food and clothing. Now think about it. The average of our wages, our minimum wages is less than $10 an hour. So if you're making less than $10 an hour and you're using your credit cards to pay majority of your bills, your interest rate is going to be higher than what you're actually making a month.
So ladies, where would someone start with becoming financially free?
By changing your mindset. You got to become a different person. Let go of the past. It's about gaining growth, improvement, gaining spiritual and emotional strength, become most powerful, happy, and a successful you possible.
Yeah, you got to be obedient too. You know, if you're going to set a goal in regards to how to save, you have to stick to it.
Agreed. I mean, you got to learn how to manage money and be smart about your money. Clean up your finances. Chris Hogan says, while you owe money, your paychecks have someone else's name on them. So figure out where you're at. Start by creating a net worth statement, which is essentially an honest measure of your current wealth. How do you do this? Well, you start by tallying up the value of what you own, which is your assets. That includes your house, your car, any cash assets that you have, and then what you owe. So if you owe your house, that's not an asset, that's still a liability. If you have a car payment, that's not an asset, it's still a liability. If you owe student debt, that's a liability. What you do then is you subtract your liabilities, stuff you owe, from your assets, stuff you own. You get a number that represents your net worth. Now, if you're like majority of young folk, you're probably in the negative. If you own a house, you're more than likely you don't have that same equity in cash assets. So it's okay if you're in the negative. It just gives you an idea to figure out where you're at. It's a statement that's an important tool that helps chart your financial progress over the years of your life, and it's going to change as you hit different milestones. If your net worth is going down, you're eroding your wealth. If it's increasing, you're on the way to getting richer. So just figure out where you're at, and that's where you want to start.
Yeah, you have to define your goals and your priorities and ask yourself and make sure you understand why you're investing. What is the reason that I actually want to invest? What is the reason that I want to save money? Where do I want to see myself 5 years, 10 years from now? What is your goal? You have to set the goals to achieve them. Keep track of your goals, and it would actually keep you motivated and coming closer to your actual goal.
That's right, Shanair. Goals just don't happen. You make them happen. What you want to do is assess where you want to be in 5 years, where you want to be in 10 years, where you want to be in 20 years. And don't be afraid to answer some big questions. Visualize what your life will be like in 10 years from now. What you can do is begin with setting 3 top goals. For today, what you want to do in today is to develop a strategy. You want to create a plan on how to get to your goals. Spend less time than you earn, pay off all your debt, invest the surplus to get where you want to go, and then chart your path. Dave Ramsey recommends making a budget every month. A budget is also known as a financial plan because sometimes budgeting has a negative connotation to it. It doesn't give off a warm and fuzzy feeling. So I like to substitute budget with financial planning. You tell your money where to go. And as I mentioned, Dave Ramsey recommends doing this every month because every month looks different. Tracking your spending is the key to understanding how much you can spend and how much you can save. It's called tracking your cash flow and gives you a sense of control and confidence, making it easier to make financial changes in your life. You can try a small journal. You can try an app on your phone. You can even do an Excel spreadsheet, depending on how crafty you are with technology. Successful managing cash flow is the key to financial control. Once you compare your expenses and your income, you will determine if you have enough cash surplus, so that's extra cash, or if you have cash deficit, and that is not having enough cash. This will tell you a lot about your general financial shape. Kind of like when you go to the gym and you try and be that meathead lifting a 50-pound weight, and you really probably should be lifting a 5-pound.
Facts.
A surplus means you're living within your means. So a surplus means you have extra. If you have extra after you do your financial plan at the end of the month, it means that you're comfortably living. You're living in that financial freedom. A deficit shows that you're spending way too much more money than you make. If you have a deficit, you will have to cut your expenses or you will have to increase your income. A good way to approach this is to start with your regular monthly after-tax income. So you want to take the money that you make after Uncle Sam takes his portion and you subtract it from the bills that don't change month to month. So those are like a rent or mortgage payment. Your utility typically stays the same, car stays the same, something that is a standard payment. If you don't know the exact numbers, put an average for things like groceries, gas, children's activities. Dave Ramsey calls it the 4 walls. You want to make sure you got your clothing, your transportation, your housing, and your food. Those are always a plus. Everything else is extra. What helps you with the financial plan when you're doing it every month, things like Christmas that shows up at the same time every year don't come from a surprise because you are planning for it month to month. If you know that your budget for Christmas is $600, then divide that by 12 and that's how much you got to budget each month for this. Car repairs, annual inspections. Everybody has to get their car annually inspected. It comes up the same time every year. And let's be honest, every time you get your car inspected, there's something that's wrong with it that you need to do a repair. If you want to travel, anniversaries, birthday parties, all those need to be broken down in your financial plan. There's something called a $0 budget where during that monthly budget, at the end, when you take all your expenses and all your income, it equals a 0. 0 means that you're giving every dollar a name. And what that helps do is you're controlling that dollar's not controlling you. So there are some things that you can do, let's say if you're in the negative once you do your financial plan and you see that you have that deficit. It isn't so much about punishing yourself or laying blame to be like, well, if I had more income, if I got child support, well, if so-and-so would pick up their slack in the house. This is really about just being honest about what you're doing so you're not wondering why you can't reach your financial goals. I mean, friends, let's be honest. How many people get their W-2 or their 1099 at the end of the year to file their taxes? You look at the total earned income and then you compare it to your current savings account and wonder where the difference is. You say to yourself, wow, I made all that money, yet what do you have to account for it? If you decide to cut back, it doesn't have to be painful. You can renegotiate your mortgage. You can live a little bit cheaper. You don't need to get your nails done or constantly buy sneakers. Or you don't need to eat out all the time. You, instead of vacationing far away, you can vacation in your hometown or do a staycation. You can sell your car and buy a car that's used. You can pack your lunch. You can carpool. you can try and save gas.
I agree. There's several different ways that you can actually save money. I agree with the packing lunch. What I typically do is I'll get a salad for the week and I'll chop it up and I'll get lunch meat and I'll pack my lunch rather than buying out. One of my coworkers, she spends about $6 to $10 a day on lunch. Just imagine how much money you can have at the end of the month if you start packing.
Oh, I agree. I totally agree, especially when it comes down to costs like that, because them $10 you could put towards the side for extra gas money that you need just to get to work. Okay, ladies, I have some helpful tips. It's called Debt Snowball, by paying off the smallest debt. Start out by writing your smallest debts to your largest debts, and just start paying the bare minimum on your smallest debts.
What I like about the debt snowball, Jenny, is that it gives you this, and Dave Ramsey refers it to as gazelle intensity. The reason why the debt snowball is so successful for people is because when you're looking at all your debt and you wipe out one, that's one less payment that you had, you move on to the next until eventually you just have your biggest debt. The other option that is pretty popular to pay off debt doesn't have to do so much with the emotional response and gratification that happens as you're eliminating these small debts. It's more about paying off the debt that's costing you the most. And what I mean by costing you is the one that has the highest interest rate. So you take a look at all your debt that you have, you see which one's running you or costing you the most is clearly the one with the biggest annual percentage yield, and you would pay and wipe that debt off first. And sometimes that might be the lowest one. So it could be a combination with the debt snowball.
I agree. And try to research and understand the basics of becoming financial free and knowing where your money is going. For example, where your 401k is actually being distributed, the difference between the before tax decrease and the after tax decrease, which is something that I have to actually look into. Get familiar with stocks and bonds and all those types of funds are very important so that you know where your money is going and how it's being spread upon as you're working.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. And we live in such an economy that's changing every day with finances. Let's be honest. Our school's not talking about it. Our teachers are not talking about it. I run into a lot of people who are 18 with these jacked out credit scores because no one in high school talks to them about it. Parents don't talk to them about it. I mean, I personally didn't have my first encounter with credit until I started working at a financial institution. So it's important that you take ownership in your development, you take ownership in your financial plan to reach the financial freedom, and educate yourself. There's so many resources out there.
Yeah, definitely educate yourself and see what advantage you can take at your job. I know my job actually matches up to 4% of what I actually contribute for my 401k and the stocks that they invest our money into. So just educate yourself. When I first was employed at my job, they just gave me all this paperwork and I was just like, I don't know what this is. What is this for? And I had to actually do research, and I'm glad that I took the time to learn what a 401k was and why it's important.
Yeah, and I agree, but also, like Kay says, and getting sources, you can educate yourself, but sometimes some people don't understand it. So you can get yourself a professional help, a financial advisor, that, someone that is really good and very educated on finances.
Well, ladies, I'm always here to help. I've been in the financial institution for over 7 years. It's almost going on 8. I love money. I love learning how it works. I love the flexibility of it and all the things you can do with it. So if you would like, I would love to help you out. I love helping women. I love helping men and families. Oh, I love helping families. you can email us at uncommonwomanpodcast@gmail.com and we can give you some financial advice and put you in the right direction. That email again is uncommonwomanpodcast@gmail.com.
So, ladies, as always, I like to leave you guys off with a quote in regards to the topic that we had spoke about today. And the quote I have is actually from Dave Ramsey. He says, "I believe that through knowledge and discipline, financial peace is possible for all of us." So, ladies,
Stay uncommon.
Full of power.